Coming up on Good Morning Longhorns, the clock is ticking for President Jay Hartzell's time on the 40 acres. Now out of the spotlight, he's answering some burning questions.
And are more changes coming to Texas public universities? What we know about a new Senate bill shaking up higher education.
Plus, is a Central Texas staple disappearing? Bluebonnets are lacking this season. What might be behind the slow bloom?
And it's a big music weekend. We'll be joined by a student DJ headlining one event. You won't want to miss it.
And finally, the Eid holiday is right around the corner. Stay tuned to see one of our own get a henna design from a student artist. All this and more coming up right here, right now on Good Morning Longhorns. Good morning, Longhorns. For this Wednesday, March 26th, I'm Ella Denena.
And I'm Itza Martinez. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Ella, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's nice to be back on a routine after spring break. How about you?
Absolutely. Well, we're just under 5 weeks away from the end of the semester, which also means this is probably one of the last times we'll be co-anchoring together.
I know. It's so sad.
So I'm so glad we get to do this together for probably one last time.
Yeah, well, let's jump right in. Up first this morning, former UT President Jay Hartzell reflected on his time leading the university in an interview hosted by the LBJ School on Monday afternoon. Hartzell expressed regret for some events during his tenure, saying that as president, he could have done a better job communicating to faculty during the protests which led to over 100 arrests last April.
Hartzell also emphasized his dedication to improving the university's standing and how people perceive free speech on campus. For more on Hartzell's remarks, his thoughts on mask mandates, DEI at the university, and more, head on over to tstvnews.com.
And across campus on Monday, interim university president Jim Davis appeared at a presidential pop-up on Speedway. Students were able to take part in a meet and greet with Davis and were treated to free pretzels from the Wetzel's Pretzels food truck. Davis was appointed as Hartzell's successor last month, ending Hartzell's tenure several months earlier than anticipated. Davis has worked for the university since 2018, previously serving as the university's chief operating officer and before that, the vice president of legal affairs.
Senate Bill 37, which heavily affects higher education, heard public testimony last week, including from UT professors.
TSTV News reporter Justin Dowd is live in the studio to break it all down.
Thanks, y'all. Senate Bill 37 expands the power of public university governing boards, which for UT is the Board of Regents. The Senate version of the bill was proposed by State Senator Brandon Creighton, who represents communities north of Houston around Conroe. If implemented, it would require governing boards to approve university leadership appointments like provosts and vice provosts, which are currently appointed by the president, and deans, who are currently approved by provost or vice presidents. The bill would also heavily impact the role of faculty senates or councils at public universities. Professor and Department Chair Karma Chavez has held positions on UT's council before and testified at the hearing last week.
In a later section, the bill lists a performance goal of making efforts to ensure a variety of perspectives are represented among administration and faculty. Apparently, we agree that diversity is a good thing, despite what happened in 2023. However, the chilling effect and the threat of retribution implied in the section I discussed before will ensure that the university will only be safe for one kind of perspective, the one that the ruling party endorses.
SB 37 gives governing boards discretion over the establishment of a council and would limit each college to 2 tenured representatives despite the variation in the size of UT schools. One of those representatives would be appointed by the president. The council's 3 leadership positions would be appointed by the president as well. All council positions would be limited to 1-year terms that can only be held once every 4 years. Councils would continue to be solely advisory with no compelling authority. The bill hasn't yet made it out of committee, but we'll keep you updated on any new developments. Back to you.
The All In for Equality Coalition hosted a demonstration and advocacy day at the Texas Capitol on Monday. They rallied to protest over 200 bills in the Texas legislature that they say are anti-LGBTQ+. The annual day of advocacy drew Democratic legislatures from both in and out of the LGBTQ+ caucus and heard testimony from local and statewide LGBTQ+ leaders. The University of Texas system announced last week that system facilities will not be permitted to host drag shows. The announcement came after a similar ban at Texas A&M earlier this month that was struck down by a federal judge Monday morning. The ruling has led to questions over how UT will enforce its ban. TSTV News spoke with the lead attorney against the ban in the A&M case, who spoke to how the case could impact UT's ban.
If I'm UT and I am implementing a similar ban, I think having a federal court already looking at it and considering both sides of it and saying, very clearly the First Amendment law is this, I think that should cause folks at UT to reconsider.
A UT system spokesperson said institutions' chief legal officers were informed of the change and how to implement it. UT Austin spokesperson Mike Rosen has not responded to requests for comment regarding the ban in A&M's federal court ruling.
And on a brighter note, I don't know about you, Itza, but I'm feeling like number one. Moody College of Communication was ranked as the #1 public university in communication and media studies on the 2025 World University Rankings list.
That top-tier status didn't stop there, as Moody was also ranked #3 in the worldwide rankings as well. Ella, how does this make you feel?
It was a long time coming, in my opinion.
Like I've always said, Moody is one of the best programs out there, and it is such an honor just to be students.
Yeah, get the recognition we deserve.
Absolutely.
But some sad news: Dr. Chip Grote, a former UT Geosciences interim dean that served between 2008 to 2009, passed away on Friday, March 4th. Grote was a 1968 PhD graduate in geology from UT and made significant contributions, serving as a research scientist at the Bureau of Economic Geology and later taking on leadership roles within the institution. In 1998, President Clinton appointed Grote to serve as 13th director of the U.S. Geological Survey. Dr. Grote was 84 years old.
Staying on campus, UT announced last week that it has launched a health research center in collaboration with a Mexican university. Experts from the College of Natural Sciences, Dell Medical School, and the College of Pharmacy will work with the Technological Institute of Monterrey to further understanding of diseases in Latino populations.
And big changes could be coming to the skyline of West Campus if a recent land proposal passes. The proposal would increase the height limit of buildings in West Campus to 600 feet, doubling the current limit of 300 feet. It would also increase the height limit of buildings between MLK Jr. Boulevard and West 28th Street. Currently, the proposal is in the public feedback stage and will be reviewed by the Planning Commission before being sent to the City Council. And a 10-vehicle crash left one person dead and 3 others injured Monday morning. The crash happened on I-35 in Round Rock around 11:40 a.m. Police say a car making a sudden lane change crashed into another car, leading to a dump truck crossing the concrete barrier into southbound traffic. Monday's accident comes after another crash on I-35 earlier this month, which left 5 people dead.
Central Texans always talk about terrible traffic on I-35, but it soon could have a new name. State Representative Joanne Schaffner proposed a bill that suggests renaming Travis County stretch of the interstate to President Donald J. Trump Highway. The signage would be funded by donations and private grants, but general maintenance would still be handled by the Texas Department of Transportation. While it's too soon to tell whether or not it will pass, if approved, the bill would take effect in September.
In Southeast Austin, residents have complained about open fires, drug use, and trash buildup caused by a nearby homeless encampment. The city finally took action last week, taking only 2 days to clean up the mess and relocate unhoused individuals to a shelter nearby. While some of the unhoused individuals declined help, the 25 individuals who did accept the help are now residing in a shelter. According to KXAN, those who did not move into the shelter are relocating to other areas, such as the woods or other encampments in the area.
One East Austin coffee shop we told you about that went viral during the season of love, Valentine's Day, just announced it's closing forever. Café Corazon, which opened in January 2024, introduced themed coffee flights, including 4 mini lattes with seasonal flavors. The cafe says it will officially close by April 12th, pointing to financial challenges. In an Instagram post, they encouraged customers to visit in their final weeks.
Have you ever been there?
You know, I never got to give it a try, but that is really, really sad.
Yeah, it's pretty sad, but maybe they can move to a food truck or something a little smaller. Yeah. Well, 40 Acres Fest returns to the main mall in front of the tower this Saturday, March 29th. From noon to 5:30, attendees can enjoy carnival food, games, and a local music lineup. Westfest, a weekend of social and philanthropic events hosted by UT's Interfraternity Council, also kicks off this weekend. While the events are not affiliated with UT, Campus E&E and UT IFC will host a headliner concert at 40 Acres Fest after the carnival concludes. includes. Entrance is free for you and a guest with your UTID. And we hope all of you enjoyed the break because our team certainly did. This past week, many of us took advantage of the time off to travel and relax. Paulina Pearson traveled to Park City, Utah to ski for the first time. Ella Olson visited Destin, Florida. Priyal Talwar visited Arizona. And Lauren Peck traveled to Puerto Rico.
Our Caitlin traveled to Ireland, and in honor of St. Patrick's Day, she visited the famous Blarney Castle to share some Irish history. Take a look.
Hi Longhorns, I'm here in Cork, Ireland visiting the Blarney Castle. We're going to go check out what it's all about. The Blarney Castle is a famous historic site located in Blarney, a town in Cork, Ireland. The castle was built in 1446 and was occupied by the family and staff of Cormac McCarthy, the King of Munster. The castle is surrounded by a garden and it lies above many underground passages built throughout the Middle Ages. While touring the castle, you can see many unique features and rooms where the family and staff of Cormac McCarthy lived. The castle is filled with protective features the family used against unwarranted visitors, one being the famous murder hole, where residents of the castle would drop rocks or boiling water on unwarranted visitors. The Blarney Stone is why many people visit the castle in hope of kissing it will grant them the gift of the gab or the gift of persuasion. There are many stories on how the stone got its magic. Some say it was the biblical stone of Jacob when he used the stone as his pillow, while others believe the story derives from the builder of the castle. Regardless of what story you believe, it is of course a tradition to kiss the stone. The Blarney Castle is open year-round to tourists and is an excellent way to experience firsthand the rich history of medieval Ireland.
When we come back, our Shreya Vaidyanathan joins us in the Weather Center to talk about how those spring sunny skies will be joined by some cloudy and rainy days this week. Your local forecast is next. From hail to heat, it seems like we felt multiple seasons in Austin this week.
For a full local forecast, joining us on set is our Shreya Vaidyanathan. Good morning, Shreya.
Thank you, Itza, and good morning, everyone. Coming back from spring break, expect hot and humid weather in Austin this week. Today's high is 82 degrees and the low is 62 degrees, with a 70% of chance of rain this evening. Tonight's showers will continue into tomorrow and Friday, with potential for heavy rainfall throughout the day, Thursday, and scattered thunderstorms Friday morning. The temperature Thursday drops slightly with a high of 68 degrees and a low of 61, but picks back up Friday with having a high of 78. Looking to the weekend, highs in the 80s and UVs of 9 are back, so grab your spike ball nets and head to Sloker to enjoy the sunshine. All in all, look forward to wrapping up this first week back from break in beautiful weather and try to take advantage of that fresh air as spring is in full swing here in Austin. Although spring in Austin is back, that bluebonnets that usually bloom during spring won't be. The Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center confirmed in their annual forecast that drought conditions and a lack of rain in central Texas will mean less of those charming bluebonnets we expect every year. Luckily, Austinites can still catch bluebonnets and other wildflowers at the Wildflower Center this season. That's all from the Weather Center. I'm Shreya Vaidyanathan. Back to you.
In talking about this spring season, Texas baseball was on a 17-game winning streak before it came to an end last Tuesday against UTSA. The Longhorns made history, as this has been the longest consecutive games won since 2010. Despite the loss, Coach Schlossnagel expressed his gratitude for Texas fans never failing to show up and show out for their team.
First one, the crowd was awesome. I mean, awesome, especially Tuesday night. They were into the game. They didn't have to be prompted to be in the game. At least I couldn't tell it from the sound system and stuff like that. You're clapping, cheering, and willing on the team, and that's so great, you know. And that's what we need all year. So I'm very thankful for that.
The Longhorns will travel to Missouri this weekend to face the Tigers starting Friday at 6 p.m. Central. Talk about a winning streak. Texas women's basketball is dominating the NCAA tournament. Being ranked as the #1 seed for the Birmingham 2 bracket, Texas hosted the first and second round of the Women's March Madness here at the Moody Center.
The Longhorns played their first game Saturday, dominating William and Mary 105-61, advancing them to the second round where they defeated the #8 seed, Illinois 65-48. Texas will now be traveling to Birmingham, Alabama to face Tennessee on Saturday at 2:30 Central.
And when it comes to the men's team, there's not much positive news to share. The Longhorns were part of the first 4 in March Madness and played Xavier last Wednesday.
Texas held the lead in the game for a total of just over 30 minutes. Unfortunately, that was not enough to beat Xavier. They cut the Longhorns' 13-point lead with just under 5 minutes left, ultimately losing 86-80. Their overall record was 19-16.
And big changes are coming for Texas basketball after that loss. Rodney Terry has been fired, and rumors were flying about who's taking his place.
For more on what's next for the Longhorns, our Hallie Diamond joins us live in studio this morning.
Good morning. Thanks, guys. With that Xavier game that you guys just talked about, fans knew going in it would be a big implication of Coach Terry's future with the team. We know Athletic Director Chris Del Conte was constantly being asked about Terry's future, and he said that they would assess at the end of the year. Following that loss, that time has come.
We knew again, as you play this game, that there's always ebb and flow and there's always runs. You know, I think when everything's said and done, I think you always thank the guys that have laid it on the line for you every night, and that was our players. They did it every day for me. They did it every night for me. There's not one guy in that room I wouldn't do anything for the rest of their lives.
In a statement, Del Conte says that he has decided it is in Texas's best interest to move in a different direction. Terry has been with the team since 2002 and a head coach since the 2023-2024 season. But what's next? Ironically, the Longhorns hired Sean Miller, Xavier's head coach. If Trey Johnson is returning next season, along with new talent coming in, it will be a season to watch. Back to you guys.
March is Women's History Month. We would like to take a moment to express our appreciation to all of the women who keep UT running.
We especially appreciate Moody College's interim dean, Anita Vangelisti, who has taught communication for more than 40 years. She has received many awards recognizing her work in the field of communication, and as an interim dean, she leads Moody every day. Speaking of history, a new museum is about to open in Arlington, and it is dedicated to over 3,500 Americans who have received a Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum opened its doors yesterday, followed by the Mission to Inspire Spectacular. The museum will hold a range of exhibits from medal showcases to virtual battlefields and even an interactive exhibit where attendees can interview Medal of Honor recipients. Online ticket prices start at $30.
And after the break, we're joined in studio with student DJ Lucian to talk about Westfest happening this weekend. Stay with us.
I know we're all looking forward to some awesome electronic music this Westfest weekend, and we're seeing a new uptick in UT Austin student DJs headlining these events. I'm joined by one of them today, Mateus Lucian, who is a junior government major here at UT Austin. Mateus, how are you doing today?
Thank you for having me here.
So tell me, when and how did you first get into DJing, and where have you played so far?
So I really fell in love with the scene my freshman year. I'd be going to all these events, and I'd be seeing people my age just having the time of their lives on stage. So I'm like, you know what, I like the music, I like what they're doing, why not give it a shot? So going into my sophomore year, I just picked it up, and it went from there. I've played like almost all the fraternities here. I've played some spots downtown, like the Ranch and like WTF, and yeah, I'm hoping for more.
Where are you playing this weekend, and how do you prepare for a set like this?
So it's a lot. The Friday I'm opening for Wasted Tuition at Pike, and then I'm hustling over to K-Sig to close their night out. And then Saturday I'm going to be opening for Sean Kingston at Bucks, and then closing out for DaBaby at Sammy. And then the way I prep is like I just try to envision myself there and like what people want to hear. So I really am meticulous about like what I'm going to open with and start with, just so everyone has a good time.
I know there's a lot more young people entering the DJ field. What have you seen in current trends with student DJs, and how is it to balance school and being a musician?
There's definitely like a huge uptick. I think it's just like going viral right now to DJ. Like so many people are getting into it. And like balancing work and school is definitely a trip. Like you need to definitely have a schedule and like really stick to it, because like you're working late nights. I mean, it's my primary source of income. So it's like, yeah, you have to balance those late nights and getting to class early in the morning. So it's definitely a struggle, but as long as you're on top of your schedule, you'll be fine.
Thank you so much, Mateus. We're so excited to see you this weekend. Back to you.
Coming up, the fun does not stop here. Grab your henna as we bring you easy and creative henna designs that you can do live in studio. You won't want to miss this. Welcome back to Good Morning Longhorns. The Islamic month of Ramadan began March 1st and wraps up this weekend. The Eid al-Fitr holiday marks the end of the month-long dawn-to-dusk fasting of Ramadan.
On Eid, Muslims are encouraged to celebrate and wear new clothes for the holiday. One way some choose to dress up is by applying henna designs. Here with us this morning is Hiba Hajir, who will show off her henna art skills.
Hiba will use Shreya as her model today. Thanks for joining us, Shreya.
Happy to be here.
Well, the first question we have for you guys today is, what exactly is a henna tattoo? Can you give us a little bit more about that?
Yes, so a henna tattoo ties in a lot of cultures together. It doesn't specifically originate from one specific culture. I think, so my Instagram handle is literally strings of art. So I'm able to string cultures together and bring people together and basically showcase different kinds of cultures with just art on your hand.
That is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and the way that I first got into it actually was I was 4 when I was able to pick up on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was
Not that artistic.
yeah, no, I was really young, so I've just been doing it every single Eid, every single year. I just, I never really had a timeline, and then not until I came to college, I was like, I think this is a good way to start connecting with people through strings of art.
Yeah, so can you kind of show us here, like, what inspires your designs?
Do you want my hand like this?
We can do it this way. Okay. Yeah. So what inspires my designs, a lot of it has to do with my Palestinian culture. So what I'm wearing right now is also called a tatriz, a thobe. So basically you're able to talk about a lot of stories, you're able to showcase a lot of different kinds of art. And yeah, I think a lot of it is just like vines and leaves.
So what are you doing today? Are you kind of freehanding it, or did you plan this beforehand?
I am low-key freehanding it, but I did kind of have the vines in mind, wanting to showcase olive trees. So that's one of my main ones.
And so how long does this last? I know I had this when I was younger, and it lasted for quite a while.
So it really depends. I really like to use quality henna on all of my clients. So organic henna really lasts for about a week or 2, depending on how well you take care of it. Whereas there's black henna, there's red henna, and those typically don't really last that long. And I don't recommend it because it's not natural either.
And I guess how long do these usually take you? I feel like because of the intricate designs, these usually can take a long time.
Yeah, so it really just depends on the designs. I like to really take my time because I really love to work with precision. So with most of my clients, I really like to give at least an hour or an hour and a half in between to be able to just, have the time to work on my art.
And so when do you plan to graduate? Is this going to turn into sort of a full-time thing when you're done with school?
It might. Who knows?
Yeah.
If that's what's written for me, it just might. But I do plan to graduate in another 2 years.
That is so exciting. And I guess, as you mentioned, it takes a little bit of time with each client. How do you feel like doing these designs on other people, affects, practicing for Eid every year? How does it all relate back to your culture and the religious tradition?
I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's so cool. I cannot believe, sorry I interrupted you, but I cannot believe
That is beautiful.
It comes out so thin, too.
I know. Oh my God,
It's so
that's
impressive.
literally like the key to like having good henna is just thin lines. Like having a good cone is just like the secret. Yeah. But what was your question? Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, all I was asking was just essentially, how do you feel like, doing henna on people helps you, I guess, keep that religious tradition alive every year?
I think it's just the fact that I'm able to connect with different kinds of people. For example, my first ever client was, she wasn't Muslim at all. And so it was her first time coming to the mosque, and I was able to, just sit down and talk to her because she was interested in Islam and learning about Eid and all of that stuff. 3 months after, I was able to do her henna for the second time, and she came back as a revert. So it's definitely a start for a lot of people to be able to just have a different perspective of even just Islam. I feel like a lot of people have different or negative stereotypes of Muslims in general. So it's definitely a way to connect girls to come together and showcase different cultures and just be able to talk without judgment.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. That's all the time we have for this Wednesday. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Ella Denena.
And I'm Itza Martinez from our Good Morning Longhorns team. We'll see you back here next week. For Campus First News, you can follow us on Instagram at Good Morning Longhorns and check us out on our website at tstvnews.com.